Yep.
Almost that.
But he didn't hover around, so I just find this.
Oh, yeah, but that was Andrew. All right, we go, Mr. Cox. Mr. Cook.
Somebody left their pointer.
Oh, that was mine. Y'all could use it. The battery is somewhat low, but you could still.
You don't have a battery?
Yeah, they're at home.
I brought mine.
Yeah, okay.
PowerPoint on this stuff before?
Oh, first time. Yeah.
You wanna take a picture of it?
I did.
You ain't take a picture of it?
Yes, we
Yes,
did.
he did.
I'm on time. I'm on time.
Zero.
All right. I was born in 1975, and well, it wasn't quite as bad as 64, but we're not taking a lot. But basically, in 1975, in January of 75, a company in Albuquerque, New Mexico called Micro Instrument and Telemetry Systems, or MITS for short, founded by four guys, Ed Roberts, Forrest Bims III, Stan Cagle, and Robert Zoller. They did it in Robert Zoller's garage. And they came with the first successful home computer called the Altair 8800. Now, that's not really the technology that I'm covering, but it led to that technology, which was the founding of Microsoft. Because that same year, a few months later, Bill Gates and Paul Allen moved out to Albuquerque, and they wrote a basic interpreter for the Altair 8800. Beginning of the company, 2 employees, and ultimately grew up to what it is today. All right, so the Altair 8800, it had no monitor. Basically, you see the red LEDs across it. That's basically how it did all its output. No keyboard either. In January of 75, it cost $400 out of Popular Electronics magazine. You had to put it together yourself with a soldering iron, or you could buy a silver one for $600. It came with an Intel 8080 processor with 2 megahertz processor. The RAM was 256 bytes for 64K. It didn't have any kind of hard drive or anything. They used paper tape or cassette tape. And then later on, they added 5.25 or 8-inch floppies, which were like. And like I said, Microsoft was founded in order to make the software for the Altair 8800. Okay. So Microsoft obviously has had quite a bit of an impact on society. In 75, they had 3 employees initially, Bill Gates, Paul Allen, and then they hired this guy, Rick Whelan, to actually be like their little secretary and type everything in for them. They only made $16,000 the first year. And they only had one operating system, which was the Altair Basic. In comparison, today, 2019, which is the last numbers that were generated, had over 79,000 employees worldwide, and that's not counting people like me that get the Microsoft certifications. You technically don't work for Microsoft, but you're basically a slave to them. you got to keep up with all that technology. The company's on the stock market. The company's worth $1.2 trillion and makes approximately $110 billion a year in revenues. And the current operating system for the home user, Windows 10, has over 1.5 billion users worldwide, which is over 20% of the world population. And today, not counting their server software, they have 7 different versions of Windows 10. Home Professional, which is what most people are familiar with, and then they have the Enterprise Edition, which is what corporations, even BRCC uses. And then and you have the mobile, because they actually did try to create a Microsoft cell phone, but it wasn't, even Bill Gates admitted that he dropped the ball, Android took over the market. Microsoft wanted to do that, but it was too late to the game. And then they got education, which I've never even seen, and then a mobile enterprise, which I guess is for cell phones in a corporate environment. And then they've got the Internet of Things core, which a lot of your ATM machines, gas pump, point of sales, they run Windows in the background. You don't actually see it, but it's just running in the background on those machines, which, believe it or not, up until very recently, a lot of those were still running Windows XP. Just because you wouldn't imagine gas pumps and ATM machines getting software upgrades very often, especially if they're not connected to the internet. Very recently, they still had that running on a lot of them. Okay. Let's see. Pros and cons. When Microsoft produced its first operating system in 1975, the main problem that they faced was the number of potential customers that they could sell it to, that they would be willing to buy their product. At that time, the term personal computer was an unheard of novelty concept. The only people that were willing to purchase this technology at the time were electronics hackers and tinkerers, many of which were ham radio operators that were willing to break out the solder and iron and put their computer together. The fact that the first available home computer, the Altair 8800, was extremely difficult to use because there was no little interest. There was little interest in it because basically sit there and did all this, and all I did was give you some LED outputs. I mean, not really that conducive to use. You also had, obviously, there was not a bunch of applications that you can just load up into it and do stuff. Currently, people would never dream of giving up their personal computers. They come in many shapes and sizes, from smartphones to tablets, from laptops to desktops. 90% of that market is Microsoft. Apple is the other, roughly 10% mostly. And of course, Linux is starting to kind of take over some of that just because it's a free option. Computers are not just for geeks anymore. And there's practically nothing that you can't do with a computer. The con is basically it's taking away from personal interaction. People are sitting there on their computers day and night, not talking to people except through the internet. You have people sitting at their dining room table with their family, and they're texting each other across the dining room table instead of talking to them.
Amen,
In preparation for what Microsoft's moving to, they're actually coming up with virtual reality and augmented reality. Basically, even as far back as the early 2000s, at the time I worked for Dow Chemical, they were exploring the idea of giving all of their engineers and IT department these glasses that had screens on them to where they could walk up and down the hall or go to meetings and still work on their work. And they determined at the time that it probably wasn't such a good idea because people were going to run into walls.
Right.
But that technology obviously has advanced quite a bit in the last 20 years. And so that is more plausible today. Microsoft's product is called the HoloLens. And basically you're sitting in a room, you see everything that's in the room, but there's a Windows desktop like floating out in the middle of space. That you can sit there and utilize with your eyes while you're walking around. Everybody is familiar with the virtual reality goggles, which is completely immersive. And basically you turn around and it's like the Windows operating system is all around you. And that's something, it's not quite ready for prime time, but it's getting there. Okay, what happened?
Very good.
That's screwing up. As with anything anything else, use of desktop computers, and Microsoft Windows has both good and bad effects on society. I guess we already covered that. Okay, the use of this technology has definitely impacted my life, as well as almost everybody I know. We use them every day from the time we wake up till we go to bed at night. This is in vast contrast to the attitude regarding the technology as it existed in 1975. And the technology as my chosen career field has also allowed me to make very good middle-class salary over the years with very little manual labor, and the air conditioning was nice too. Okay, you wanted something that our creativity of what the future should hold. The best improvement in the Microsoft Windows operating system that I could come up with would be a neural interface similar to what they have in the movie The Matrix. In that movie, if someone wanted to learn something new, like how to fly a helicopter, it was in the movie, basically you just jack in and upload the knowledge into their brain. And it might put college professors out of work, but it sure would be nice.
It's like pouring the information in your brain.
Just plug in, and within 10 minutes, you're a PhD. Also, you can control your computer like you're sitting there. You just think of what you want the computer to do and it can do it.
Okay.
Basically, that's DOS shell from MS-DOS 5.0, which around 1990 or so. That was the first time that DOS went to any kind of a graphical setup. And then this is obviously Windows 10 today, so you can see just between the 90s and today how much it's changed.
Right.
And that was the Microsoft logo from 1975, and that's what it looks like today.
Go back to that other slide. You see what Microsoft tried to do with their phones? You see the right side, that the Windows 10? They tried to use tiles, and I think people didn't just get off in those tiles, and they kind of like went, bellied up.
Well, the mistake they made when they first came out, I believe it was Windows 7, is they actually made that desktop. They were trying to get everybody away from the conventional desktop and go strictly
to tiles.
The reason they did that was because they figured if they could get everybody to using that on their desktop,
the phone,
they would also use it on their phone.
That's
it would be the same desktop environment on both things. Everybody rebelled.
I know.
Everybody loaded
back to 8.
$5 piece of software to put your old desktop back on.
Now, question. I'm gonna let Mr. What? Peter's at. What you added?
I didn't Windows 8.0 also have a severe security flaws, so then they had to do 8.1 to fix it.
Right, sure did.
Well, part of that was also them doing away with the old style start button.
Right, people want that start button.
When all the companies started raising hell and said, we will never load Windows 7 or Windows 8 on our corporate environment because our users just don't want to have to learn the new way.
Right.
Eventually, 8.1 came out. It's kind of
we're going to put that start button in the corner because I looked for it, man. I was lost without it. I wanted it. Yeah. Now, how many people with that display with the tile? How many people use Windows 10?
Currently,
okay. How many people use those tiles? I don't even use it. I close out of that. Right.
The only time I go in there is if I want to play solitaire or if I want to play Minesweeper.
I still go to the little button, the little icon.
On Windows 10, they quit loading the games into the desktop.
Yeah, most of them and download
those.
Right.
Why they did that?
You know that the desktop
because one day to
application,
the environment, they didn't want the games loaded on their machines.
Yeah. So what?
The company
doing the workplace.
Free sell.
so you know on the bottom right, they have the desktop notifications.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's one of the major improvements to Windows was just putting all the different things you could change
in that one area, right? Rather than having to search for it or change it for this one, now I got to go to the next. Right, you're right.
Also, for a while there, when you would buy a Windows machine, you would have to go to Symantec or McAfee and spend a whole bunch of extra money to get your virus protection, or malware protection.
Yeah, and Windows done improved on that.
Defender has actually gotten
way better.
Where it's actually the highest recommended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good though, I gotta give it, it's good.
That's all I want, and I mean, I'm a high-end user.
Yeah, you don't need to go buy, Norton or McAfee. Yeah,
Still
it'll work.
gotta to get
That's
the-
spyware.
Huh?
Still kinda have to get the good security.
I wouldn't, well, but, Windows Defender to me been, been pretty good. Now, the only time, like I said, the only time I have issues is like, I go in there and click off. I don't want the protection. Then I happen to go on the internet and forget, then bam, something happened. But other than
Or if
that,
you're into the shadier side of computer usage, like downloading pirated
software, yeah, they'll find their way
You're
in.
gonna run the cracker,
Right.
and it'll pop up and say, "Oh no, you don't want to run this.
Right.
It's a legal item,
Right.
and you have to override it to make it run."
Right.
Well, I guess technically you never really know.
What they gonna have
They
in
can
there
put something in that
Right.
cracker that does something else besides
to
cracker.
mess your system up, correct? Yeah, that's another.
But that's not Windows Defender's fault. That's because
Cause you let him.
chose to override it.
Yeah, that's right. What happened?
Long story short, I was getting whooped in video games, so like, man, I'm gonna get some treats. And I tried to load it in, and it bricked my computer. It deleted some system file.
And that's what we deserve.
Yeah. I was like, they got me.
Yeah.